Your SwiftUI charts look basic right now. This tutorial will make them look premium. This is the tutorial, the application we'll be creating today. As you can see, it is a pie chart that is similar to a donut chart. And this is all done using Swift charts. So the information is retrieved from SwiftData and is populated within the charts. So if I click on Update button, you'll see it updates the charts and it includes some animation and it also includes some insights. Like Telsa dominates with 24% of the total sales. And if I click the Update button again, or again, then you can see that it changes. Really, this should be coming from a web service. But anyway, it's dominated by BMW at the moment by 27% of the sales, of the total sales. So this is the application we'll be creating. The first thing we need to do is create a new Swift file. The purpose of this file will be to enable the application to store and retrieve the data from SwiftData. Name the file car sale and then import the following charts as we're using Swift charts. Import SwiftData. Then type the following at model class car sale. So this is the model that will be representing the sales for each of the car types. Var brand string, such as BMW, var sales int, which is the number of sales for the brand, and then we need our initializer, and then the next file we need to create is our car sale pie chart view. So this will be a SwiftUI file. Car sales pie chart view. And this view will include a few properties such as data for the car sale. So data contains an array of car sales. We also need to import Swift charts. Import charts framework. Color scheme. Color scheme. The purpose of using color scheme is to interact with like the current mode, light or dark. Let chart colors key value pairs string any shape style. and that will map the brand to the color style, private var total sales, int data.map sales dot reduce zero plus bracket and then a close bracket. And the purpose of that line, it computes the full total of all of the sales that relates to the brand. Is that correct? Total? Oh, that should be the same variable. It's called total sales. Sales should be capital S. You can delete the preview as we're not using it at the moment. We need to create a Z stack chart. It should be chart. So that's our beginning of the chart definition. So the next thing we need to do is to loop through the data. So we're getting this data from SwiftData, persistent mode ID. So it's going through each of the car sales using the ID, item in, sector mark. The purpose of sector mark is to start the pie slices for each of the items. Angle dot value. What should it be? Angle colon dot value. And then within the value, we pass in sales and also the item dot sales. And that will slice the angle proportional to the sales value, so that the actual proportion will be a representation of the pie slice, like as in a triangle, or the shape, because I was thinking about a pie chart, but we're doing the donut chart. So it'd be this type of slice. Next thing we need is the inner radius, and it has a ratio of 0.55, and that makes it a donut by cutting the center, as in by taking out the hole, or by including a hole in the center. Next thing we need to do is an angular insert, which will be 1.0. And that just includes a small gap between the slices for readability. Don't know if you can see it here, there's a little small gap here between each slice. So the next thing we need to do is to apply our corner radius. And the purpose of that is to soften the sliced edges and then add a foreground style. Dot value brand. Item brand. So what else do we need to do now? We need to add some annotations, and we also need to create the functionality that does the actual percentage, as you can see here. Don't know if you can see it, but I will enlarge the screen afterwards. So to do that functionality, I'll just copy and paste some code that I created previously. It cannot find value in scope, so what should that be? Foreground style by missing a full stop. Okay, so I just pause the video and copy and paste the code. So now I've pasted the new or the updated codes. I'll explain it afterwards. But we missed out something, and that is the percent on line 20. So we need to type in the following: percent equals total sales more than 0, double item sales divided by double total sales. Times by 100, else is 0. And that line creates the percentages for the labels that I showed earlier, which is these labels here that include the percentages. So is that the right format? Let percentage equals total sales, double item.sales. We compile it. See. Yeah, it's correct. So the new code I pasted about 1 minute ago was this. So we have an overlay for an annotation. And the purpose of that is to place labels on top of the slices. And then we use if percent is more or equal to 7. And that will only annotate 7 or more slices. And then we display the actual brand in the text element of the slice. As you can see here, the brand, like for example Ford. And then we also display the percentage, which is here. And this is where we do it in actual code. And what else do? We add a subtle glow to the slice on line 39. So in next week's tutorial, we will continue with the car sales pie chart view and implement the rest of the features. Your SwiftUI charts look basic right now. This tutorial will make them look premium. This is the tutorial, the application we'll be creating today. As you can see, it is a pie chart that is similar to a donut chart. And this is all done using Swift charts. So the information is retrieved from SwiftData and is populated within the chart. So if I click on Update button, you'll see it updates the charts and it includes some animation and it also includes some insights. Like Telsa dominates with 24% of the total sales. And if I click the Update button again, or again, then you can see that it changes. Really, this should be coming from a web service. But anyway, it's dominated by BMW at the moment by 27% of the sales, of the total sales. So this is the application we'll be creating. Today, we will continue with the pie charts and add the legend and also the pie chart hoe. So I just copy and paste some code that I've got on the clipboard and explain it afterwards. So we're going to place this code anywhere after line 43. So the first thing that we've done on line 45 is that we apply a custom mapping. And the purpose of that is to map the relevant colors to the pie charts. And then we also create our legend on line 46, which is positioned bottom aligned center. And we create a fixed frame height for the legend or for the chart, which is 340 pixels, and a side padding, a side horizontal padding. And then on line 49, we create a customized background plot. So what it will resemble is this. So this is the legend where it has Tesla, BMW, Ford, Toyota, Audi. So what else do? We set a soft shadow on lines 53 just to create more depth. And then the next thing we need to do is to add the actual donut hole. So the actual donut hole will resemble this. As you can see, there's a hole in the donut that shows the total amount of sales that relates to each of the pie chart slices. So the donut hole we will implement anywhere after lines 55. That will be done within a V-stack, spacing 4, and that will center the stack for the title and the total. So to display the actual total, we need a text element that will have the captions total sales, and then we just style the text element with a dot caption, which is small font, foreground style, which is dot secondary, and then to display the actual total sales within the donut hole, we use total sales variable, and then we set the font system title to 2, and the design will be rounded, and the weight of the font will be font bold or dot bold. So let's rounded weight. I think there's an error somewhere. Let me do that again. So that should be system dot title 2 design dot rounded. That's correct now. Weight which is dot bold. Also, we need to set a foreground style to dot primary, and what else do we need to do here? After line 64, we need to add dot accessibility elements, children, it should be children dot contains, and also accessibility label, which is car sale distribution, That should be distribution. And we also need to add the accessibility value. It should be accessibility value total sales across data.count, and then show the brand that includes the total sales that relates to the count. As you can see here, it's got the total sales. So the next thing we need to do is I'll just compile it first. Yeah, we need to start working on the content view. So we need to add a few variables. And we also need to include SwiftData. Really, we should be using MVVM, like proper MVVM architecture with like dependency injection. So what happened there? So for some reason, some error. It cannot break it up for some reason. Let's just see where it ends. Okay, to make the video shorter, I'll fix this offline. For some reason, it's unable to compile. So there was an error on one of the video scenes. So the actual pie chart view, the car sales pie chart view, it should look like this. And also with the content view to display the car sales distribution and the market share brand as seen in this image, it should resemble this. So we're at the moment we're displaying the car sales distribution here, and the subheading is the market share brand. But something happened to the video when I was recording, and it didn't capture this within the video, although I was typing it. So as I said in the previous video before the error happened, next week we will continue to focus on the content view to implement the rest of the features. Your SwiftUI charts look basic right now. This tutorial will make them look premium. This is the tutorial, the application we'll be creating today. As you can see, it is a pie chart that is similar to a donut chart. And this is all done using Swift charts. So the information is retrieved from SwiftData and is populated within the charts. So if I click on update button, you'll see it updates the charts and it includes some animation and it also includes some insights. Like Telsa dominates with 24% of the total sales. And if I click the update button again, or again, then you can see that it changes. Really, this should be coming from a web service. But anyway, it's dominated by BMW at the moment by 27% of the sales, of the total sales. So this is the application we'll be creating. So today we'll be reusing our car sales pie chart view. So the first thing we need to do is to call the car sales pie chart. And then we pass in the following parameters such as the sales array we pass in and the color scheme for the pie chart and the chart colors, which will be called chart colors. Since chart colors doesn't exist, we need to create an extension. So we can create that anywhere after lines 43 or anywhere after line 38 really. And there's some code that I copied and pasted to reduce the length of the tutorial. So that should be called chart colors on line 41. It's spelled incorrectly, chart colors. So what we're doing there, we create an extension and then the extension dynamically creates the colors for our pie chart so that it works in light and in dark mode. As you can see, the colors will be adaptable in light and dark mode. What else do we need to do? We also need to create or add our animation. So we type in dot animation. We'll be using ease in out. For the duration, it will be 0.8. And it will animate on the color scheme. We also need to create a H stack. Our H stack will also include a button, as you can see here. The purpose of the button is to update and refresh the pie chart view. Really, this could be done by JSON or any external API to populate the pie chart view. But in this instance, we're using SwiftData to populate the pie chart view. So we create our button. Button will include some animation, which would be animation. With animation, correct. With animation, dot ease in out. Duration will be 1.0 of a second. And the purpose of this, it will animate when the values change. The next thing we need to do is to randomize the sales, the car sales. And how we do that, we do this through using a for each loop. Int random. So the car sales will range from 500 to 1,300. And then we need to persist the changes back to SwiftData using the model context.save. And then we can also use the UI pack feedback generator. We set the style to .light. We use impact occurred, which will happen on tap. We include our label. And the label caption, which will be update data system image, which will be arrow dot triangle dot 2 dot circle path, to be circle path. For the system image, let's remove the comma there. So it should look like that. So that's the system image and text for the icon. We include our font style, which will be headline. Let's see if it works in the preview. And then we need to add our button style, which will be border or bordered prominent. Don't know why it doesn't like that. Type it in again. So that's dots, button style, which is bordered prominent. Yeah, that seems correct now. Tint, which is blue. And then we just add a spacer so the button gets centered. What else do we need to do? We need to create our insights fee stack. As you can see here, it shows the insights for BMW and the percentage of the sales made, which was 24% for that quarter. Type in B stack, alignment, dot leading, spacing 6, text, insights, font, dot headline, foreground style, dot primary, text, insights, which would be insight text. Did we create the variable for insight text? So we need to create a computer property for insight text. I'll just paste the code I have on the clipboard to reduce the video length. So here we type in insight text. So the purpose of insight text is to find the highest sales recorded. As seen earlier, the highest sales recorded was for BMW, and then it converts that into a percentage and displays that within the insights. And it also does the actual calculations here for the percentage. So the next thing we need to do is we have our insights. What else do we need to do? So we need to add a bit of formatting to our insight text with using a font subheadline. It should update on preview. Foreground color. Or foreground style, that will be secondary. And we add a bit of padding. Preview. It's such a long time to update. So as you can see, add some padding on the left hand side. And for the background, we need to make it the adaptive material. But that property doesn't exist at the moment, so we will create that property in our next tutorial and implement some more features for the pie chart. Your SwiftUI charts look basic right now. This tutorial will make them look premium. This is the tutorial, the application we'll be creating today. As you can see, it is a pie chart that is similar to a donut chart. And this is all done using Swift charts. So the information is retrieved from SwiftData and is populated within the charts. So if I click on update button, you'll see it updates the charts and it includes some animation and it also includes some insights. Like Telsa dominates with 24% of the total sales. And if I click the update button again, or again, then you can see that it changes. Really, this should be coming from a web service. But anyway, it's dominated by BMW at the moment by 27% of the sales, of the total sales. So this is the application we'll be creating. So we will now add our adaptive material computed property and also our adaptive gradient computed property. So that should be color scheme. That should be color scheme also. And then we continue where we left off in the previous tutorial. So we need to include the background, which we've done, adaptive material. And also add our clip shape, which is rounded rectangle, corner radius 16. Overlay, which will also be rounded rectangle, corner radius 16. Remove. So we have our overlay there. Also need to apply a stroke border, which is line width of 0.6. We also need to add a shadow color, a color scheme. So if it's in dark mode, light mode will be the opacity 0.05. Black for opacity 0.08. Also the radius will be 6x. The radius will be 6, x will be 0, y will be 3. That will be the shadow radius and offset. For dark, we missed out the full stop, so it should be dot dark. And also for black, it should be dot black. We need to include a bit of horizontal outer padding. So padding dot horizontal. Spacer in length is 10, and that will provide flexible space between the bottom and the top. Or provide flexible space at the bottom, not the top. And What do we need? We need to add additional. So we also need to add additional padding. There's something wrong with the recording. We pause it. There was a problem with the video before, so let's continue. So the additional padding need to be applied to the safe area. Just type in padding, which will be applied to the bottom of the safe area. And then bottom. And then we also add our active gradient to the background. Active gradient. Shouldn't be a dot there. We're calling this computer property, adaptive gradient. And then we apply some animation, dot animation, dot ease in out, the duration of 1.0, and for the value we use our color scheme to animate the theme driven changes. We also need to apply a task which will run when our view appears. And if our SwiftData table is empty, then we do the following. Sales is empty, and then it inserts the demo data just for testing purposes using this array. So we use the car sales, and then for each car sale we pass in a brand and an actual sale. It pass each of our array objects and saves it into SwiftData. The sale will be 1,200. That could be anything. There's another problem with Xcode. And then I'll just create another object array. So this will be for BMW, and that'll be 980. And let me close Xcode and reopen it. Just stop the video or pause the video. Let's see if that's any better. And our next car will be, or brand will be Ford. And sales for Ford will be 860. Next one will be Toyota. And sales will be 760. And the next one will be Audi. And the sales will be, let's make it the highest, 3,000. Next thing we need to do is to loop through our model context and insert the records into our SwiftData database. So for each of these records that we have so far, we will loop through it and save each of these records to our SwiftData database. Preview crashed. Maybe we can fix that in our next tutorial next week.